One of the things I'm trying to do with this channel is to highlight the underdogs of the retro gaming scene. Games, consoles, and handhelds which maybe weren't as popular as they could have been back in their heyday, but whom I think are still deserving of much more attention than they got. These reviews and deep dives will be part of a video series entitled Bring It Back. In this first edition, I'll be taking a look at a handheld which, were it not for an unfortunate set of circumstances, totally could have held its own against a true competitor to Nintendo's Game Boy Color. I'm speaking, of course, about SNK's Neo Geo Pocket Color. The story of the Neo Geo Pocket Color to me is like a Weird Elseworlds version of the story of David versus Goliath, where Goliath wins because David's buddies take his sling away, figuring, he doesn't need that. I know that's kind of a weird metaphor, but I'll explain in a minute. First, let's do a tale of the tape between the NGPC and its direct competitor, Nintendo's Game Boy Color. So as you can see, the tech specs between the Neo Geo Pocket Color and the Game Boy Color were pretty similar. And if that's the case, then why did the NGPC not have its day in the sun? I mean, yes, let's not kid ourselves. Nintendo has always been, well, Nintendo, a huge recognizable brand. However, other huge recognizable brands like Sony and Sega and Microsoft have all gone up against Nintendo and been able to hold their own against Nintendo's near juggernaut-like branding. So what happened? Why did the NGPC sink? Well, if you ask me, and I think a lot of other Neo Geo Pocket fans will tell you the same thing. It just never had a chance. The original black and white Neo Geo Pocket hit the Japanese market in late October of 1998. However, Nintendo had also, only days prior, released a color handheld, the Game Boy Color. Even though the Neo Geo Pocket had an advantage in that the Game Boy Color's CPU was half as powerful, it just couldn't compete with the color screen on the GBC. So SNK scrapped the Neo Geo Pocket after only having been on the market for about a year and after only having released 10 titles for it. They went back to the drawing board and revamped the system with an all-new transflective color display just like the Game Boy Color, and the Neo Geo Pocket Color hit Japanese store shelves on March 19th, 1999, with North American and European releases happening August and October of that same year, respectively. SNK went all out promoting the NGPC. Huge retail and promotional deals were signed with Walmart, Best Buy, and Toys R Us. They even partnered with Sega to produce a peripheral that you could use to connect your NGPC to a Sega Dreamcast. $4 million US was spent on a TV ad campaign that would see ads like the one you're about to see running on Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and others.
It's here, the revolutionary Neo Geo Pocket Color. With 16-bit power, linked to the Sega Dreamcast. revolving joystick, 146 color display, 6 cool styles. The graphics will blow you away. Neo Geo Pocket, way ahead of the game.
However, by this point, SNK as a company had already been struggling financially for at least a year. There were leadership shakeups at SNK North American head office, and it wasn't long before they were bought up by another company, an American pachinko maker called Aruze, and this was really the final nail in the coffin. Aruze ran SNK like an absentee landlord. See, all they really wanted was SNK's IP for use in their pachinko machines. They literally cared about nothing else. Games, consoles, properties, even the business itself, none of it mattered. So, with the equivalent of a greedy slob roommate at the helm, naturally it wasn't long before SNK America dried up. However, shortly thereafter, SNK Japan saw the writing was on the wall, and their entire executive staff, including original founder Aikichi Kawasaki, jumped ship and started their own company, Brezasoft. More on them in a second. So with all the original leadership gone, and the SNK brand essentially evaporating in their hands, SNK, and by proxy Aruze, became rudderless, unhinged, and desperate. And they started pawning off all of SNK's various properties fire sale style to any company who would listen in an attempt to slow the inexorable death spiral they now found themselves in. It was at this point that SNK's shareholders finally mutinied to the tune of a $260 million US lawsuit.
Big cash payoffs.
Aruze realized at this point that the center just would not hold. So they put SNK into bankruptcy. The great irony of all this? They wound up selling one of SNK's most recognizable franchises, its King of Fighters series of fighting games, to Brezasoft, the company that they created from all this chaos. But while there was eventually a happy ending and a final reunion for all of SNK's former staff in the creation of a new company, SNK Playmore, in 2002, along with a successful lawsuit against Aruze to the tune of $59 million US for continued unauthorized use of their IP in other pachinko machines, this was all for naught. It all happened long after the NGPC's death. The Neo Geo Pocket Color was pulled from store shelves in North America and Europe on June 13th, 2000. Not even a year since its original release. All that said though, there were just over 80 games released for the NGPC. And while yes, a number of those titles were Japanese only, there are still around 50 to 60 titles which are either entirely in English or otherwise playable by non-Japanese speakers. There's lots of variety with this game library as well. Everything from sports games to fighting games, puzzlers, and platformers. Many of these as well made their original debut on either SNK's Neo Geo AES home console or in the arcades with their MVS arcade machine platform. All of this means that for us retro collectors, there's still lots of reasons to get your hands on one of these handhelds, which I highly recommend you do. So to reiterate, the Neo Geo Pocket Color was, like so many underdogs, way ahead of its time. Its downfall came tragically as a result of mismanagement and bordering shenanigans at the hands of a company who seemingly wanted nothing to do with video games in the first place. With a decent-sized library of games, it's still highly collectible and, because of its underdog status, still highly sought after by collectors. There are plenty of mod kits for the system as well. You may have noticed that I've modded mine with an IPS backlit color display. You can expect a review of that, along with other NGPC related content such as game reviews on this channel in the very near future. And that's it. Before I close out this episode, I do have one very cool announcement. I'm proud to announce that TRRS and Retro Replay Canada are now brand ambassadors for retro gaming wear. If you're watching this video, then you're probably a giant retro geek like me. So why not show off your nerdy pride for this hobby of ours with a t-shirt, or a sweater, or a hoodie, or even a face mask from the awesome folks over at Retro Gaming Wear. Click on my affiliate link in the description and make sure you use the coupon code RetroReplayCanada at checkout to get 10% off of your order. With that said, I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get updates on new episodes. Also, make sure you follow me on social media and join the Retro Replay Canada Discord. We're all hanging out and talking retro. Links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all on the next episode of the Retro Review Show. Until then, cheers. Bye for now.